Firstpost reports from the world's second largest continent. Hello, I'm Alyson Grange. A very warm welcome from Durban, South Africa. We get you the news and the newsmakers from Africa. From elections to climate change to innovations and opportunities. As the world's attention shifts, we report from Africa, the heart of the global south. Join me every weekday live on Firstpost. Hello and welcome to Firstpost Africa, where we get you the top stories from the continent and from across the world. I'm Alyson Grange, coming to you live from Durban, South Africa. First, let's take a look at the headlines. Kamala Harris and Donald Trump campaign in key battleground states as they fight to make their case to the voters. Harris makes a final pitch, says Trump will open floodgates of vengeance. At least 93 people are killed or missing and dozens wounded in an Israeli strike on a residential building in North Gaza. The US calls the incident horrifying. North Korea's foreign minister holds strategic talks with his Russian counterpart in Moscow amid warnings from the West that thousands of Pyongyang's troops are training in Russia to fight Ukraine. At least 51 people killed as floods triggered by torrential rain sweep roads and towns across southeastern Spain. Local authorities seek military assistance. And diamond-rich Botswana votes as the ruling party seeks to extend its nearly six-decade rule and hand President Mokgweetsi Masisi a second term. Unemployment and economic slump remain the top concerns. Hello and welcome. Let's take a look at our top story. With the presidential elections in the US just around the corner, it is not just the Americans in the US who are split on who would they elect as their 47th president. Several African American voters in Ghana are also divided. Elections in the US are scheduled for the 5th of November, with a close competition between Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump. However, some voters across the Atlantic in Ghana have also been keeping an eye on the race. But why is that so? In 2019, Ghana had launched a program to encourage members of the African diaspora to relocate to the West African country and reconnect with their roots. Launched by President Nana Akufo-Addo, the initiative had aimed to promote Ghana as a tourist and investment destination. Now, 2019 became the year of return, which commemorated 400 years since the arrival of the first enslaved Africans in Virginia. Ghana's initiative attracted several high-profile visitors, such as television presenter Steve Harvey, actor Samuel L. Jackson, and rapper Usher. It also saw many African Americans move to Ghana and find a sense of belonging. But those who permanently returned to their homeland from the United States felt a sense of dual identity. Many of them still have the right to vote in the U.S. elections. Many are choosing to vote in the elections despite the distance, with some even influencing their peers back home through advocacy and social media. Now, several African American voters in Ghana are divided on who they would vote for. Some are backing Harris over Trump, given that the vice president is a woman of color and the idea of democracy is at stake.
If Kamala Harris loses, America is going to change, and it's going to change drastically, and it's going to be unknown. I'm afraid of the unknown. I have no qualms about voting for Kamala Harris because of my fear of what Donald Trump might do if he's elected as president.
But I think on this watch, African American women in particular, who have been stalwarts in the election process, even when African American women could not vote, have an opportunity to really make the difference and elect someone who is presidential in their demeanor as our head of state and who is more than qualified to be the CEO of the U.S.
But not all African American voters are Harris supporters. Some think that former President Donald Trump deserves another chance, as his economic policies were beneficial for the world's most powerful country. Yet there are some other African American voters in Ghana who feel that both of the leaders would not do anything for the black people in America.
These are the opposite side of the same coin. You have a feminist movement that don't benefit black family or black nation or black anything. It's pitting a man against a woman. And then you have a blatant racist who just let you know, your agenda is not my agenda. I'm not concerned with what you need and what you want.
Now, a recent report from Pew Research Center also showed that an overwhelming majority of black registered voters in the United States were supporting Harris over Trump. A large majority of black voters say that the current state of the economy is very important to their vote this year. In the 2020 U.S. elections, 92% of black validated voters had cast their votes for President Joe Biden, and only 8% voted for Trump. Now, with the elections nearing in the U.S., several polls show that Vice President Harris and former President Trump are ensured in a highly neck-and-neck contest for the White House. Now, reports also suggest that over 53 million Americans have already voted in the election, and more are yet to vote on the 5th of November. But what impact would the outcome of this close competition between the political leaders have on Africa and African American voters in Ghana specifically? Something that all of us will be watching out for in the coming days. And moving on to South Africa, where the rift in the government over the Russia-Ukraine conflict is deepening, with two former rival parties now in a coalition. Foreign policy has become a major bone of contention in the Ramaphosa-led government of national unity. In the latest, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has criticized a deal with Ukraine, which was signed by the country's Home Minister without his approval. South Africa's Home Minister, Leon Schreiber, who belongs to a different party to Ramaphosa, announced the agreement that grants Ukrainian diplomats visa-free access to South Africa. He referred to Ukraine as a valuable ally, the same term which was used by Ramaphosa to describe Russia at the BRICS summit. Ramaphosa's calling Russia a valuable ally was slammed by the Democratic Alliance, the party which the current Home Minister belongs to. Opposition party, the Democratic Alliance, joined Ramaphosa's African National Congress after the party lost its 30-year-old majority in elections earlier this year. The DA party leader, John Steenhuisen, had then said that such comments should not be made without consulting coalition partners. And now the same objections are coming from the ANC, which has hit back and said that the Home Minister's announcement of Ukraine deal was premature, since he had no authorization from the president. South Africa's Home Minister made the announcement on the Ukraine visa deal after the country's foreign minister met his Ukrainian counterpart in Pretoria on Monday. Though the visa agreement was on the agenda, South Africa's foreign minister had said that the deal had not been concluded yet.
The signing of the long-awaited agreement on visa waiver for diplomatic service and official passports will follow the diplomatic processes. Once those processes have been concluded, the agreement will then be concluded, which will enable our diplomats and services and official passports to be able to travel between the two countries seamlessly.
The South African presidency has also clarified that the agreement is still underway and has not been signed into law. But it seems for the Home Minister, the agreement is complete. The DA, which is the second largest party in South Africa, has always favoured pro-West policies. On the other hand, the Ramaphosa-led government has historically shared warm ties with Russia. It has avoided condemning Russia's invasion of Ukraine, even though it has assured neutrality over the conflict. After the DA slammed Ramaphosa, calling Russian President Vladimir Putin a valuable ally, the South African president also issued a statement assuring good ties with Ukraine in what was seen as a U-turn on his Russia stance. But perhaps it was too soon to call it a U-turn, and troubles for the South African president are far from over. It is to be seen how Ramaphosa walks this tightrope and ensures his party does not fall out with its coalition partner over a foreign ally. There is a saying that you can choose your friends, but not your neighbors. This is true in the case of Somalia, where tensions have once again escalated with its eastern neighbor, Ethiopia. Somalia has declared an Ethiopian diplomat working in its capital city of Mogadishu a persona non grata. In a statement, Somalia's Ministry of Foreign Affairs accused the diplomat of engaging in activities incompatible with his diplomatic role and in violation of the Vienna Convention. Somalia did not specify the actions committed by the diplomat, named Ali Mohammed Adan, but the country has ordered the diplomat to leave within 72 hours. The diplomat was serving as the second consular at the Embassy of Ethiopia in Somalia. The move comes as a fresh blow in the already heated diplomatic dispute between Addis Ababa and Mogadishu. Recent escalation in the tensions have been over a memorandum of understanding that Ethiopia signed with Somaliland in January. Now, the deal would give Ethiopia naval and commercial access to ports along Somaliland's coast, while in return, it would give Somaliland recognition from the landlocked country. Now, Somalia sees this move as an infringement on its sovereignty, despite Ethiopia and Somaliland defending the deal. Now, Somaliland, located on the southern coast of the Gulf of Aden, has claimed to be a self-governing region of Somalia for more than 3 decades. Somaliland broke ties with Somalia's government after declaring independence in 1991. However, its claim of independence is not recognized by Mogadishu or any foreign government. Hence, giving the seafront access to landlocked Ethiopia would get the self-governing region some identity, but this has only irked Somalia. In April, Somalia had ousted the Ethiopian ambassador and had also ordered to close 2 Ethiopian consulates in Somaliland and Puntland. It also recalled its own ambassador to Addis Ababa. Now, earlier this month, at a session in the UN Security Council, Somalia's Foreign Minister, Ahmed Moalin Fiki Ahmed, had reiterated Mogadishu's territorial claims.
As a landlocked nation, Ethiopia has no rightful claim to Somalia territory for the establishment of a naval military base. Such actions are a violation of international law and a threat to regional stability.
And now Ethiopia and Somalia have previously fought a conflict between 1977 and 1978 on a disputed region. Ethiopia has also invaded Somalia in 2006 over security threats emerging from the country. Ethiopia has also been one of the largest contributors of troops in the African Union peacekeeping force in Somalia. Reports suggest some 3,000 troops are stationed in the Horn of Africa country. However, Somalia last week said it would exclude Ethiopian troops from a new African Union peacekeeping force against al-Qaeda-linked al-Shabaab terrorists. Mogadishu highlighted that Ethiopia's recent actions had eroded the trust essential for peacekeeping. In addition to that, the leaders of Egypt, Somalia and Eritrea have also formed an axis against Ethiopia. Issuing a statement earlier this month at their meeting in Eritrea, the leaders mentioned the need for unequivocal respect for the sovereignty, independence and territorial integrity of the countries in the Horn of Africa region. But as tensions mount between Mogadishu and Addis Ababa, will this latest move give rise to a wider conflict in the Horn of Africa region? And our last story today is from Nigeria, where a shocking incident has come to light. A video has gone viral showing a member of parliament assaulting a driver who came to deliver food to his home. Now, in the video, the Nigerian MP, Alex Ikwege, has been seen verbally and physically abusing a driver. The argument seemingly broke out when the lawmaker requested to come outside to pick up the snails that he had ordered. In the video that was filmed by the taxi driver who was responsible to deliver the snails, and the MP was seen boasting about his political power. He was even heard saying that he could make the driver disappear without facing any consequences. This before he repeatedly slapped the driver for asking him to come and pick up his order. Here is how the whole incident unfolded.
Do you know who I am?
I don't want to know, sir. Just pay me anything.
So you think I will give you my money with the way you have spoken to me?
I did a job for you and you have to pay it, sir.
You will not see any. You will not see penny from me. Who is this stupid boy that you sent to this my house? And this stupid idiot come to my house and tell me that I'm supposed to come and meet him in his car and pick up snail that I'm buying from you? Imagine this rat. I can make this man to disappear in the whole Nigeria and nothing will happen.
You've been insulting me, sir, and I'm being quiet.
I pray that you do. I pray that you insult me. Can you please insult me? I'm not going to call my policemen to beat you up. I will beat you up. I will show you that I'm a big brother to you. I will slap the hell out of you and I will lie you down, lock you in my generator house. How dare you? Be looking at me that you can beat me? Or are you looking at me? What? Who the hell do you think you're talking to? Do you know who I am? I'm a senator of this republic. Do you know who the How dare you? To my house to disrespect me?
I didn't disrespect you. I said pay me my money and let me leave.
Come on, give me that phone.
Now, the incident quickly went viral after the driver posted it on the internet. Several social media users called the lawmaker's behavior despicable. They called him out for abusing his power and not respecting others. The police have taken note of the incident and are investigating the matter. As the matter escalated, lawmaker Ikwecheg has also apologized for his behavior. He has also said that he and the driver have explored alternative dispute resolution methods to sort out the issue and have reached a respectful resolution. He has also apologized to the House of Representatives, which, according to local media, has since referred the matter to its Ethics Committee.
I just want to state once again that I am human. Even though things were said, and those things I regret. I apologize to all Nigerians. Regardless of the provocation, there should be no reason why I should react in that form.
Alex Ikwecheg is a serving member of the House of Representatives, representing Upper North and South Federal Constituency. He belongs to the All Progressives Grand Alliance. His conduct with the driver highlights how some politicians can misuse power with no fear of repercussions. Those who are elected by the people to serve them can disregard the same people for their social status. Some reports have highlighted that many politicians in Nigeria rely on power or money which they use corruptly. While this might not be an isolated incident, it is definitely an extreme one, and it calls for the need that those abusing power are held accountable. And with that, it's a wrap on the show. We will see you again tomorrow at the same time. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hello and welcome to Fast and Factual on Firstpost, where we get you the top 50 stories from around the world. I'm Alyson Grange, coming to you live from Durban, South Africa. Let's begin. In our top stories, US presidential candidates are making their last-ditch efforts ahead of next week's elections. Democratic nominee Kamala Harris held her biggest rally in Washington, D.C. Over 70,000 people attended her campaign. Harris urged voters to write the next chapter of U.S. history and to reject her rival Donald Trump's chaos and vision. The Democratic presidential nominee called the former president unstable and said that he wants unchecked power. Meanwhile, Harris will be spending the election night on the 5th of November at the Howard University in Washington. The historically black college is where Harris graduated from 40 years ago in 1986. If Harris secures victory in the presidential elections, she will become the first ever woman to win the White House. Meanwhile, the Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump said that nobody loved Latino and Puerto Rican communities more than him. He made the statement during an election rally in Pennsylvania. Trump added that he has done more than any other president for Puerto Rico. This comes after his campaign faced backlash after Puerto Rico was called a floating island of garbage by a Trump loyalist during a New York City rally. Since then, Trump's campaign has tried to distance the former president from the remarks. US President Joe Biden has also been facing criticism for seemingly calling Trump supporters garbage. He made a comment during an election campaign on Tuesday, during which he addressed the issue of Puerto Rico being referred to as garbage. Biden said the only garbage he saw floating was Trump's supporters. However, the White House later clarified he referred to Trump's rhetoric and not his supporters. And former U.S. First Lady Melania Trump defended her husband and Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump. She said that her husband was not Hitler and added that comparing her husband to Hitler was a terrible thing. This after Democratic vice presidential candidate Tim Walz took a dig at Trump. He compared Trump's Madison Square Garden rally to the famous gathering that supported Nazis in the same venue 85 years ago. And U.S. President Joe Biden declared an investment of $3 billion to upgrade ports in 27 states and territories. The grants will modernize and revamp port infrastructure in the country. $147 million is dedicated for Baltimore for its cargo handling operations. The investment comes after port workers staged a 3 in the U.S. East Coast and Gulf Coast earlier this month. And the United States has condemned Sudan's paramilitary rapid support forces for an attack on civilians in the state of Al Jazeera. Now, it has also urged the RSF to immediately halt the violence. The offensive has reportedly killed over 120 people. The U.S. has also reiterated their call for the RSF and the Sudanese army to end their brutal civil war. The war began in 2023 and has caused the world's largest displacement crisis. An Israeli strike on a residential block in northern Gaza killed nearly 100 people yesterday. Israeli forces said they attacked Hamas targets in the Beit Lahia region. The Israeli strike also shattered a 4-story building. The United States called the strike horrifying. Israel has been facing criticism globally after it banned the UNRWA, a United Nations aid agency for Palestinian refugees. And the United States has hailed the efforts by India and China to resolve their long-standing border dispute. Both the countries have agreed on a patrolling pact for areas in eastern Ladakh. The United States said it has also discussed the issue with India. India and China have almost completed disengagement in Depsak and Demchok area. And Israel's army chief has vowed to hit Iran very hard if it retaliates. General Herzi Halevi has said Iran has been warned against any reprisal, and he also added that the attack by the Israeli forces was not over. The IDF recently conducted strikes on Iranian military targets and its missiles production facility. It was a response to Iran's missile barrage on Israel earlier this month. And Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant has launched a stern warning for Hezbollah's new chief. He said Naim Qassem, the rebel group's new chief, won't last long. He wrote on X, a quote-unquote temporary appointment, not for long. Gallant also wrote in a separate post that the countdown has begun. Ukraine has announced a fresh mobilization drive on Tuesday. Kiev is planning to draft another 160,000 more troops. This as Moscow sees the mining hub of Selizov in eastern Ukraine. Kiev's move also comes amid rising concerns of increased military cooperation between North Korea and Russia. The United States says it has confirmed the presence of North Korean troops in Russia. At least one person